there, Riderflex Nation. Steve Urban here with more career advice and job interviewing tips for you. And as a quick reminder, if you enjoy our podcast, please remember to subscribe to our channel and like the episodes. And on today's podcast, 10 mistakes employers make during the interview process. You know, on this podcast, we do a lot of career advice and job interviewing tips for candidates. This one is for the employers. So here we go. 10 mistakes employers make during the interview process. Number one, not ensuring that everybody in the home office is on the same page with the job description to begin with. I see that all the time. Human Resources puts out a job spec without touching base with the hiring managers or maybe the CEO, or the hiring managers put something out without touching base with HR. And we all find out later that not everybody in the home office is on the same page with exactly what they're looking for. So that's number one. Get everybody on the same page with the job description to start. Number two, employers will glance at a resume and make snap decisions on whether or not a candidate is qualified. Bad idea. Okay, bad idea for so many reasons. Remember, specifically when recruiters are involved, right? The recruiter recommends a candidate based on everything that's happened, not just the resume, but the phone screen, the video interview, things they found out about the candidate that were not even on the resume to begin with, etc. So I encourage all employers, especially when they're dealing with a recruiter, don't just glance at a candidate resume and make a snap decision. Remember, the recruiter is recommending the person based on everything that happened, all the involvement with the candidate and everything else they've learned about them. Number three, employers will immediately think that people can't do a job if they haven't already done it. What I mean by that is, and I've done podcasts on this topic, maybe they're looking for a salesperson that has sold electronics, right? And we recommend somebody that is a great salesperson that's only sold, I don't know, let's say furniture. And the employer will think, well, if they haven't sold electronics, they probably can't do the job. Or if they've only been a sales rep, they can probably never be a sales manager, or something like that, right? It's either something in the product, or maybe it's the position itself that they think, well, they haven't actually done it, so that person probably can't do the job. That's also a bad idea for so many reasons. Keep in mind, if people have a skill set overall, right, they don't have to have certain experience within the industry or within the product to be successful. All you got to do is look at your own career and realize that you probably yourself have switched industries or switched product, and you made it just fine. And think about all the other examples that applies to. Okay. The last thing on number three is this. Remember, just because a person hasn't been a COO doesn't mean they can't move from VP of Ops to COO. Just because a person hasn't been the director of marketing doesn't mean they can't move from marketing manager to director. You yourself did it for your own career. If you're listening to this podcast, somebody gave you a chance to do something you haven't done before. So don't automatically eliminate candidates just based on that criteria. Number four, I see employers stick to mandatory requirements and pass on talent if the candidate is missing a couple of little things, right? If you have 10 mandatory requirements for something in a job spec and a candidate has 8 of those and they have an outstanding personality, great references, excellent people skills, and they've done everything else in the interview process correctly, you probably should hire that person. Okay, don't skip on people just because they might be missing 1 or 2 little things. Number 5, okay, employers wait around for the purple unicorn with, yellow horns or something, right? They're waiting for this perfect match on paper. They all get wrapped up in what's on paper. Remember, it's more than that. It's not just about the resume. You get the person in front of you. Do they have the right personality? Do they have the right presentation? Do they fit your company culture, etc.? don't wait for the perfect candidate on paper. Don't wait for the purple unicorn on paper. Put everything else into consideration, and remember that, especially when recruiters are recommending a candidate. Number 6, I see employers make decisions without talking to the candidates. This goes back to the resume piece, right? We as recruiters, if we're recommending a candidate, remember, it's because of our overall interaction with the candidate, how the phone screen went, how the video interview went, etc. So I encourage employers, don't just look at something on paper. Don't look at a candidate on paper and make the decision to not talk to them or pass on them. If a candidate is being recommended by a recruiter, it's for a lot of other reasons besides what you see on paper. Number 7, I see employers think that they have to see more candidates, right? They have to see more people. They want to see more candidates. They'll interview like somebody that's super great that they really like, but if they interview somebody they really like at the front of a search, they'll say, well, I want to see more people though. You know, it's this fear of missing out, like, oh, there could be somebody even better if I'll just see some more candidates. What are you doing? Okay. You get somebody good that's in front of you, you pull the trigger, you hire them. In today's market, it's a candidate's game, right? You don't pass on good people. You get somebody in front of you, even if it's the very first person you interview, boom, you make a decision, you hire them. Okay. Number 8. Okay. Employers end up getting messy with their communication during the process, and it scares the candidate off. Be very careful how the communication looks and how it flows back and forth between you and the candidate, because I'm telling you, in today's market, candidates will see that as a caution flag and run away. Number 9, the 9 most biggest mistake employers make is they make an offer that's way too low and it offends the candidate. The candidate gets nervous and scared. Then you go through a long negotiation process and everything breaks down and crashes. And number 10, employers move way too slow. This goes back to thinking you have to see more candidates, which was number 7. But number 10 is just don't move slow. Don't make the process crazy where the candidate's having to jump through 5 rings of fire and meet 20 people, and then you wait 5 weeks to decide whether or not to hire them. Okay, that's just going to scare candidates away, and they won't stay on the market that long anyway. Okay, and you'll miss out. And there is your Riderflex tip of the day. We truly hope you find our material helpful and entertaining. And while our podcast can be heard across most platforms, including iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, YouTube, and SoundCloud, you can become a supporter of this podcast by visiting our show on the platform Anchor FM. That's anchor.fm/Riderflex. You can also send us your questions or suggested topics for future episodes to the email address podcast@riderflex.com, or drop us a voicemail at 888-964-5876, extension 710. Visit riderflex.com to learn more about us. Thanks so much for listening, folks, and have a great day.